Hello everybody, my name's James, welcome to the Planet FPL double game week 34 deadline stream, and it's live. Over the next 55 minutes or so I'll try and answer as many of the YouTube community's FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of the 11 AM UK time game week 34 deadline. We've got 6 teams with doubles this week. Let's be honest, we're not that interested in Fulham and West Ham. Manchester United, Manchester City, Brighton, Liverpool all have doubles. They seem to be the only 4 teams on our mind. Well, them and Newcastle. Before I get into the questions, let me take you through the graphics. Firstly, I'll explain what I've done with my team. -4 taken. Chilwell is gone for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I couldn't make that move in one free transfer. So David Raya is gone and Jason Steele is in goal, which obviously gives me a third Brighton player and an extra doubler as well. I line up this week with Steele, Trippier single, Trent, Luke Shaw, Mo Salah, McAllister, Mitoma, Marcus Rashford, Jack Grealish, Ivan Toney single at home to Forest, captain Erling Haaland. On the bench, I don't suppose I'll need this, but Kepa, Watkins, Henry and Botman. Before you ask, yes, I've used my fucking bench boost. Top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference are below the screenshot of my team. I always speak about with Erling Haaland, pick your battles, and an Erling Haaland double game week doesn't feel like one where I should be picking the battle, to be honest. I know a number one a gamble on Mo Salah. What I would say is it's late in the season. If you really are chasing, of course, a Mo Salah could outscore Erling Haaland this week. And Marcus Rashford, I would be very surprised if he didn't go through the double game week and not score. But with Haaland, I mean, Jesus, against Arsenal the other night, he could have had 4 or 5. And he was brilliant, actually. His link play was great, as discussed on the podcast yesterday. I think as it stands, Haaland plays both. And I'm not even convinced that Mo Salah definitely will, so I'm not going to take the gamble on this one. Next week, should Haaland play against Fulham and West Ham, I think would be very interesting, with Haaland at home to Leeds. And it's a 1:30pm UK time deadline, and the City game kicks off at 3 o'clock. Could we get info late next week where we could gamble against? This doesn't feel like one where I want to gamble against it. To the left of me on screen, you'll see the correct score predictions for all 13 games taking place in Game Week 34, which includes the 3 games taking place in, I was going to say midweek, the 3 extra games is in the doublers. Obviously, Arsenal-Chelsea's not till Tuesday. We've got Leicester-Everton Monday. There's a few predictions in there, may surprise. I fancy West Ham this lunchtime. I fancy Wolves potentially to get something at Brighton today. And I think Villa will probably get something at Old Trafford tomorrow. Otherwise, it's probably as you would expect. Maybe most will probably think Leicester will beat Everton. I have a sneaky that Everton will get something out of the game. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the fixture ticker for the remaining 5 game weeks. Every fixture now on that grey bar at the bottom, because the next 5 game weeks includes game week 38. Blue fixtures represent a double game week. And above that, you will see the benching dilemmas screen where there's 2 players placed together. The player with the tick is the preferred choice. I will take you through them. I would play Isak over Toney, Toney over Kane, Kane over Saka, Saka over Martinelli, Martinelli over Trippier, Trippier over Solanke, Solanke over Maddison, Maddison over Andreas Pereira, Pereira over Enciso, Enciso over Watkins, Watkins over White, White over Soufal, Soufal over Henry, Henry over Botman, Botman over Eze, Eze over Tyrone Mings, and the goalkeepers. Steele over De Gea, De Gea over Flappy, Flappy over Leno, Leno over Raya. Sorry, I can never not call him Flappy. Mr. Lucas Fabianski. Right, that's it. That's the graphics on stream. Have a look at them, please, because there's a good chance that your question is answered on screen. If you think that's the case, please do the courtesy of deleting the message in the chat. I will still very happily give you a shout out. If you're in the stream watching live, smash a like. There's about 10% of you who have done that. Thank you very much. Doesn't cost anything. It's free content. Would be hugely appreciated. Hit the sub button as well. Let's get into the questions. JP says, hi mate. Thoughts on Joelinton Murphy as FPL assets? I think both are at risk of possibly not starting tomorrow. Eddie Howe spoke yesterday about Joelinton feeling a little bit of tightness Thursday night. And he also spoke later in his press conference about saying, if I've got a choice between 2 good players, I'll pick the one that's fitter and fresher, is what he'd said. I think that was largely in relation to Isak and Wilson, but I got sneaky that Joelinton might not start tomorrow, actually. Murphy probably will. I think, yes, they're potentially very interesting, especially when you get into 36, but I wouldn't buy either now, and I think if you were wildcarding now and going with either, they're probably getting benched this week. JP says, with Brighton results starting to drop and with their additional fixture and lack of rotation, I envisaged them dropping their standards. Thoughts? So they lost at Nottingham Forest. I mean, they were ridiculously unfortunate to lose at Tottenham, weren't they? So we're just looking at Nottingham Forest in a week after fatigue of last Sunday. That's why I think they might slip and drop some points today. But I think they'll beat Manchester United on Thursday. I've got no concerns about them. He also says, can you give us a tactical insight into how Spurs came back into United game? Your thoughts on Ryan Mason as head coach? Yeah, listen, Mason doing it to the end of the season is better than Stellini. I think we can all see that. In terms of tactically getting back into the game, just a little bit more aggression. We nicked a goal and then the crowd got up and we had a real go and it was a bit more positive. The main thing was Kane dropping in deep and dragging people out of position, and Sonny and Richarlison, later Danjuma, going ahead of him, and Kulusevski actually pulling wide, getting crosses into the box, to be totally honest. But the biggest thing was Kane dropping in deeper, which for those who listen to me regularly knows something I'd like to see a lot more. FPL Joe wants to say, hi Jane. Hello Joanne, hope you're well. Craig Gardner says, hi James, on free hit, final decision is Gakpo, Stones, Fabianski versus Grealish, Steele, Isak. I mean, on free hit, I'd gamble the doublers and Isak's got the single. I do think, for those obviously who heard my stream on Tuesday, I was saying I think there's every chance Isak won't play this weekend, but I was sure that he'd start at Everton. He didn't, so I think that's flipped. And again, I think Isak will play tomorrow. I can't believe that he won't. But on a free hit, in all honesty, I would not be going with any single game week players if I was free hitting. If I was a wild card, that'd be different. If I was free hitting, I'd be going purely with doublers, mate. Although arguably, I would still go Steele over Fabianski as one. I wouldn't just spend the money for the sake of it. I'd probably still go Steele. I'm trying to look at that and think. I presume if you go the Fabianski route, you still only got 2 Brighton. I'd go Steele. JHSUFC says, hi James, already made Kane and Martinelli to Salah and Isak from -4. That's what most people did last week. Would you take -8 for Reece James for Stones, Konate? Trips, Henry, Estupinan would be back free. If not, no, I wouldn't be taking the hit for Konate, to be honest. No, I wouldn't bother. Kia says, hi James, Bruno, Chilwell and Tony to Salah, Trent and Greenwood from -4 when chasing 50 points. If no hits, I'll start Shaw and do either Salah or Trent and save the 1 free transfer. I'm not keen on getting rid of Bruno now. For those who kept, Bruno's probably a really good differential now, right? He's not at the front of people's minds to buy this week. Those who've got are largely happy. I don't think I'd be moving Bruno Fernandes on at this moment if I had, mate. Fantasy Billy says, howdy Jimbo, hope all is well. I'm looking for some maverick free hit punts this week. I've Bowen, Mahrez and Solanke so far. Are there any wacky picks you think can go big? I wouldn't call Darwin Núñez wacky. You know the risk, right? It could be 2 1-pointers. I think Núñez will start for Liverpool tomorrow. And that would be one. Unfortunately, it's really hard at this stage, Billy, because obviously there's 4 teams with doubles that we really like. There's 2 we like less so. You've got Bowen in there. Mahrez is wacky as well. Gundogan might be another name to throw into that mix. I wouldn't be going with singlers if I was free hitting. So Bowen, look, 2 games, yeah, sure. Maybe Mikel Antonio is another one with question marks over many forwards. I think if I was free hitting, I'd probably just go 4-5-1 with Haaland up front, to be honest. Jay said, good morning, James. I have a full double side with a single game week outfield position up for grabs. My dilemma is in regards to who to play between Solanke or Trippier. They are literally right together on the bench in dilemma screen, mate. It's Kieran Trippier for me, but it's a close one. Atul Balaji says, hey James, on free hit, would you go Fernandes and Dunk or Mitoma and Jota? If the second option, who would you prefer among Darwin and Jota for this game week? Unfortunately, mate, I prefer option 1. FPL Joe says, hi James, wildcarding this week. Is there any more different players I could go for? I mean, a kind of Newcastle players, but I wouldn't, other than Isak and Trippier, I wouldn't start them this week, I don't think. The honest answer is no. We've been saying it for a number of weeks that we're all going to head towards 5 teams. Maybe even keeping something like Kane, but I can't make the case for it. Really can't. You're looking for the differentials within these teams. So the likes of a Danny Welbeck, Darwin Núñez, these sort of players who maybe aren't being considered as much this week. Is about as Gundogan is another one. Perhaps as wild as it gets. I wouldn't. Remember, the combined ownership's going to help you massively, right, to cover everything off. Everybody's moving in the same direction. Triple Trapped In says, morning James, I'm in a differential league under 10% ownership. Can you see a better time for triple captain and Bruno this week? Maybe a City player still. Is Jack Grealish still under it? I mean, I'd still go Bruno over him this week, in honesty. Maybe a 37 player, like maybe a Mahrez, not now, but in 37, for example. No, I'd probably do it, to be honest. I'd probably do it. Stevie J10 says, morning James, 1 free transfer, Watkins to Isak, or bring in Lindelof and play 4-5-1. Keeping Watkins leaves Alvarez punt open next week before getting Isak. Can also try Alvarez Martial punt this week. Yeah, I think Lindelof's a very reasonable get. I'm not backing United for a clean sheet, 4.1 defender. You're not asking for much anyway. I think it'll probably set you up a little bit better for what's left. So I'm going to say, yeah, Lindelof. Atul Balaji would like everyone to smash the like. Yes, please, guys. Nigel Sam says, good luck, James. Would you start Ings or Watkins? Well, I don't think Ings will start, mate. So I'd be looking to move that on. It'd be Watkins out the two. I mean, Antonio's playing quite well for West Ham at the moment. Dan the Fisherman says, do you think Mahrez will be a problem going forward after this game week? How long's a piece of string, mate? I mean, at the moment, he's probably not in Guardiola's best 11, right? And you've got Foden coming back to compete against that as well. So it's a problem now, isn't it? But very capable. Very capable. Was it City's double game week in January? He absolutely tore it apart, didn't he? I think he starts 1 at best. And he's going to get rotated for what's left, subject to opponents. Kartik Rao says, Aki, Martinelli, Kane out for Salah, Trent, Greenwood, which forces me to do Watkins to Isak for funds. Total -8 thoughts. Largely, yes. I would say on Nathan Aki, he might come back around and be very useful for you and save you a transfer down the line. I'd potentially consider that if you're not desperate for a third City and looking at your transfers, you're going to go to 2 anyway. So consider maybe holding. That's presumably going to block you out of the Trent idea, though. Can you do Kane down to an Isak and a Martinelli to Salah and arguably leave the other one? I'm going to guess you probably could. I looked at a few -8 ideas this week, and every time I did, it ended up looking at a -12, and I wasn't happy with that. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, setting Isak up for future with 36 in mind is absolutely fine. It's close, it's borderline. It comes down to Carty. How desperate are you for Trent, I think. JFPL says, hi James, who would you prioritise getting in, Trippier or Isak? I mean, at this stage, probably Isak. Dan the Fisherman seems to not be used in CL. That's in relation to Mahrez, presumably. Yeah, but then historically, in the past, like last season, Mahrez was the go-to Champions League guy. I think we can read too much into this. Steve says, hi James, no question, just wishing you and everyone a great game week. And let's enjoy the last few games of the season. Remember, it's a bit of fun after all. Absolutely, Steve. Good luck, mate. Dragon says, hey James, Watkins to Isak from -4. If not, who would you start out? Watkins, Botman, cheers. Still start Watkins. Yeah, I fancy him to return tomorrow. And in relation to that, no, I probably wouldn't take the -4 for it at this stage. FPL Andy says, morning James, thoughts on Martial as an option. Only double game it forward that funds both Salah and Trent for me. I don't mind it. I think there's every reason to expect that he probably does start tomorrow. Guaranteeing you 2 starts or another start in game week 35 when they go to West Ham, for example, after they play Brighton on a Thursday. He's probably not going to play both of those next 2, but I imagine he probably does start tomorrow. That said, I think Rashford's arguably, well, I'd say arguably, he is Manchester United's best centre forward, isn't it? So there's no guarantee that he starts tomorrow. I don't mind it. I think I'd be tempted by him. I'm going to say yes. Go on, knock yourself out. Pete Haley says, hi James, is it worth getting Rashford in for Martinelli for an 8-point hit? Thanks, mate. Probably not. I know Gary Mantle, our Chelsea correspondent, would say don't sell Martinelli this week. Emily Sissoni says, would you do Watkins to Greenwood and Andreas to Mahrez, play Trippier from -4, or Watkins to Greenwood, Andreas to Bruno, and Chilwell to Akanji, bench Trippier from -8, already have Salah and Trent? I'm not sure I'd bother myself, Emily, to be totally honest. Not sure I'd bother. I mean, there's worse things you can do than play Andreas Pereira this week with a double game week and being a penalty taker. I don't think I'd do either, Emily. Garlazzo says, hey James, take a 1 week punt on Antonio, or should I just get Isak directly? I think Suj would say just get Isak directly, and I would agree with that stance. JP says, odds on Chelsea getting relegated next season. It won't happen, mate. Divesh says, hi James, good morning. Have brought in Steele, Trent and Jota for Kane, Pickford and Gabriel. Your thoughts? Have Kepa on the bench. My thoughts are irrelevant, mate. You've already done it. Steve says, hi James, no question. Done it again. Thanks, Steve. Cheers, mate. FTLOL podcast. Hi James, what's your free, ideal but realistic signings this summer? Players only, as know you'll say De Zerbi. No, I won't. 3 realistic signings. Romeo Lavia of Southampton. I don't know if that's realistic though, because everyone wants him. I don't know if it is. Levi Colwill from Chelsea. And I think James Maddison is realistic, to be honest. Be quite happy with Ebe Eze as an alternative for that. There's loads I could pick out from bottom half teams. Go, yeah, I'd have some of that. You know, Rico Henry from Brentford. There's loads. Right, we need a goalkeeper, don't we? David Raya in goal, please. There's loads I could name. Brentford not bottom half, by the way. I should correct. Donald D says, good morning. Hope all is well. Another Lindelof benching dilemma. Bench one of Trippier, Isak, or Lindelof. Why haven't I got Lindelof on the bench in dilemmas? It's because I assume I'd play him. I'd pick the doubler, mate. I'd pick the doubler. I'd just look at it and say, Lindelof, you've got 2 chances of that random 15-pointer where he scores and they keep a clean sheet. I'd play the doubler. I would pick Isak over Trippier this week as it stands. Stephen Freeman says, hi James, Chilwell, Saka and Kane out for Trent, Salah and Greenwood. 9 game week players. I'm assuming it's meant to be 9 double game week players. Or Trent, Gakpo and Darwin, 10 game week players. I mean, but who's your singulars you're going to play, right? If you've got like Tony and Trippier like me, it's fine, isn't it? It's not the how many doublers. Is what I always say. It's the who. It's the who, not the how many. I think I'd prefer to go in the Trent and Salah route, to be honest. Adam says, can't decide, James. 10 of my 11 are doublers, but the other one is Isak or Trippier. Who do I start and who do I bench to play Isak, mate? Stefan P says, hi, James. Who would you play between Trippier and Isak? We've done this. Cheers, mate. Same answer. Henriette says, if we've got any more Trippier Isaks, just bin them, please, guys. Yeah, I'm going Isak. And it's on the bench in dilemmas. Henriette Johansson says, hi, James. Delighted to spend deadline hour with you. And to you too. Would you do Trippier to Stones from -4? Feels risky. Cheers. No. No, I wouldn't. There's a want to have a Manchester City defender, but the one you go for could easily not play twice. So that's a no from me. Adam says, also, using my triple captain this week and going to Haaland, what do you think? Yeah, if I'd it left, it'd be getting used now. Adam says, also, so we've done FPL Lighthouse. Hi, James. If chasing in a mini league, what are the best differentials on a wild card? Thanks. Jeez, they're hard to find. I think one might be a Newcastle attacker for later, not necessarily for this week, but a Joel Linton for in a couple of weeks' time, but then you could just go and buy it. I think a lot may get stuck. People like me who've got Trippier and Botman are going to get stuck with a double defensive, so I think a double offensive will be a good differential. Failing that, to be honest, there isn't a lot around. It's going to be people like Gundogan, Nunez, and the reality is there's better choices, isn't there? Nunez could be great. Could be great. That's probably the one I'd be part tempted to punt, but I don't think I would. It's tough. City defensive. Stones is probably now the safer play. I think Aki could be in a couple of weeks because most won't be on now, right? Are they going to get there? There's not a lot. Robertson versus Trent, maybe. Gakpo. The likes of Martial. These aren't names that no one else is considering. Who's next? Yo says, start Zuma or Trips. That's a closer one. Reality is second game's Man City, not expecting anything. So, if he gets 1 point out of that, you'd probably take it now. So it becomes Zuma at Palace versus Trippier under Southampton. That's a Trippier one. I think like if Fulham or West Ham defender versus Trippier, I'm playing Trippier. So it's not a case of always the doubler for the sake of it. Lindelof feels like that ceiling's a little bit higher and there's more capability at a clean sheet, despite the fact they were pretty woeful defensively in the second half on Thursday night. Lee Thompson says, hi James, Watkins to Isak and Henry to Trent from -4 and bench Trippier, or just Henry to Trent. At this stage, it would just be Henry to Trent for me. What I'd say is as well, remember next week, Newcastle got Arsenal. Watkins goes to Wolves, it's not ugly. Watkins got Trippier at home 36 as Trippier at home. Watkins got Tottenham at home in game week 36. Now at that point you might be going Watkins to Isak, but it might be you go your other forward to Isak. So if in all honesty, if it was just me at the moment, I'd just go the Trent move. Erase says, hi mate, should I do Tony, Saka, Chilwell to Greenwood, Salah, Robertson for -4 and take additional -4 to upgrade Chilwell to Trent? No, I mean that's a perfect one. You could say, right, I'm making a 4-point saving. Can Robertson outscore Trent by -3 or more between now and the end of the season? The answer is yes, of course he could. Rhino says, morning James, I'm making a transfer for 35 now, mini league reasons. Do you prefer Foden or Mahrez versus Leeds? Crap. Jeez, it's hard enough picking the Man City team this week, mate. Never mind in 2 games' time. I mean, probably Mahrez, mate, but I don't know how I'm meant to answer that. What no graphics is all James. Play Martinelli or Isak. Isak for me, mate. Rob Pick says, hi mate, which goalkeepers would you consider to be worth -4 to start over Raya, if any? Also, I'm sure it will be covered, but start Isak or Trippier. Isak. The answer's probably none on the keepers, Rob. I know I've done it, but I obviously couldn't go Chilwell to Trent in one move. If I could have gone Chilwell to Trent in one move and not had to take the -4 for Steele, I wouldn't have bothered with him, I don't think. I'd have given myself a bit more thinking space to go for a third Brighton player next week when they've got Everton at home. That genuinely would have been my take. So the answer is probably no, Rob. And if you don't know where you want to go, then you're definitely not doing it, I don't think. Kier says, got priced out last night of going Salah and Robertson for free with 0 left in the bank. Didn't like having nothing in the bank for coming game weeks. Was I wrong? I think this was one, in all honesty. There's no point regretting it. But with Palace, West Ham, the early kickoff, Brighton being the only team that's playing today that we've got any interest in actually buying as new, yeah, it should have been made last night. It's very unlikely there's going to be any new information this morning. But don't regret it, mate. Don't regret it. Can you go VVD as an alternative, perhaps? I don't know if there's any difference between VVD Robertson. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Gurdon88, -8 to bring Jota in and then bench for Watkins, then bench Isak. Nah. -8, eh? He's got to outscore Isak by that many. You actually think Isak won't return tomorrow if he starts? We think he will. It's a no from me, mate. Ketsen Chopra says, morning James, who would you buy from City for Martinelli? And that would mean benching one of Isak, Tony. Which one, or simply roll? Roll, powerful, mate. I mean, fuck benching one of Isak or Tony in any case, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they're the 2 high scoring forwards this week, Isak and Tony. I would just about pick Isak over Tony. That's ridiculous, really. Alex Moore says, hi James, who do you think is the better asset for the rest of the season, Fernandes or KDB? Probably KDB. There's one extra fixture in there for City. KDB probably doesn't play them all, so it levels out. KDB, I think, just about, mate. This week, slight preference for Bruno, actually. But across the rest of it, I think KDB. Bozo says, hi James, hope all is well. Free hit of 2 options, 3-5-2 with Trent, Edison, Diaz and Estupinan and Haaland with Jota or Isak, or 4-5-1. Jesus, mate. With same 4 at the back, adding Robbo or Shaw without Jota. Yeah, second option. I'd go Robertson over Jota if I was free hitting. Hobbs89, morning James, hope you're well. Given Roberto De Zerbi's quotes, you starting Trippier instead of Mac a good idea? No. So there were some quotes which were embargoed, which were released late last night / this morning on Alexis McAllister, where De Zerbi said that him and Caicedo both looked tired in midweek. Does anyone think that he's going to play without both of them today? No, I read it in exactly what I explained on the podcast yesterday, that I think the link of their build-up play broke down because he had the two young boys both up front, and they're both good young talents, but to have them both there. And I read it, and this again is how you interpret information. I read it as, he'll play McAllister higher. Don't have to work as hard in that position. He'll play McAllister at 10. That was so I read it as, this is even better for McAllister. Sure, makes him a little bit of a doubt, but it was been a little bit of a doubt anyway. He also said March was shattered as well. Do we think Solly March isn't going to play today? No. So I actually read it as, McAllister's more likely to play where I want him to play, in the 10 position. That was my read on it. But it's interesting that people generally pick up the negative on that. I would not pick Trippier over McAllister this week. No, I wouldn't. In any case, even if he's a sub, okay, you've got another chance in midweek. He's on pens. Play McAllister, mate. Ray Creshy says, hi James, Raya to Ederson worth a hit. You know my opinion on the Ederson pick, mate. I'd rather go with two-man City, I think. Sam Jones says, hi James, Watkins and McAllister to Jota and Andreas for -4. Roll. Rail 3 says, hi James, would you do Chilwell, Saka and Watkins to Trent, Fernandes and Solanke? Thanks for the stream. That looks like quite a good one. Matt Stewart says, morning James, sure to Trent for -4. Nah. Not for me, no. Asil Salem says, hi James, sorry if this was already asked, but I'd like to know who would you pick if you were on a free hit, and which third Man City player would you go after Haaland and KDB? Grealish. So if I was free hitting this week, I did do this for the advanced tier patrons on Thursday, but it would be something like Steele, Trent, Robertson, Stones, no, not Stones, Lindelof. Who else did I have defensively? Shit. Trent, Robertson, Lindelof. Might have even just been Go Shaw as well. Fernandes, KDB, Salah, Grealish, Mitoma and Haaland. Something like that. Might have been a different combination, but roughly something like that. As I said, I'd just go Haaland up front, 4-5-1 is what I'd be doing if I was on free hit this week. Mahomie says, has sent you over his wildcard 34. I'm also on wildcard 34 chasing, and I've gone with KDB and Salah. Is Dallo a good shout instead of Shaw? I'd just go Lindelof. I realise he's boring and bland, but he's 4.1, and when you have these benching dilemmas in like 35, 36, he'll be an easier one to bench. I'd just go Lindelof. I think Dallo, what's the impact to Dallo if Varane comes back? What if Varane comes back in time for 37? What a headache. I don't think there's enough there to want to do it, to be totally honest. So no, I'd just go Lindelof at this stage. And I think, say Varane did come back, I think like first choice centre back would be Varane and Lindelof, and then Shaw plays left back, right? That would be my take. FPL Haddery says, good day James, Trippier or Solanke, mini league rival doesn't have either, but Solanke Hall would be massive differential overall. Thanks for the great content. What's more important to you, mate? Is it the overall or the mini league? It's Trippier, mate. That's the choice between the two for me. Chim says, who would you sell to 4.0 in order to get to Trent? Tony or Watkins? We'll likely get Isak in 36. I would start Tony this week, but hard fix 35. Bench Watkins for Botman now, but has better fix in 35. If I'd have been selling one now, it'd have been Watkins. I would not want to be selling Ivan Tony at home to Forest. No way. So it would be sell Watkins for me at this stage. Sure, listen, next week, right? Right now, he was Tony for Forest at home. And Ninda says, hi James, I'm on wildcard. Should I keep 2 Brighton mids or chance differentials? But it's up to you, mate. On a wildcard, you should pick 11 players that you like. Actually, you should pick 15 that you like. Espen Selbach says, is it worth to go -4 to go Trent over Robertson? I'm going to say no, actually. I'll just go Robertson for free. Stephen Freeman says, morning James, would you take a punt on Alvarez or Martial? Would I? No. Joe Finley Bader says, morning James, worth bringing Trent in for a hit. What for, Joe? Come on, my friend. On the face of it, yeah, that's what I've done. I brought him in for Chilwell. I have added another player as part of that as well. I'm on the face of it, I guess I've got to say yes. By the way, if anyone's wondering if I could have just gone Robertson for free instead of Trent, no, that wouldn't have worked either. Menace of Lackey says the biggest and best balls in FPL podcast. Not the biggest. Are they the best? I doubt she'd say so, mate. Dave M says, morning James, made my moves already, but thoughts of Watkins to Isak or Henry to Stones for an extra -4. It's a no from both from me, mate. Khalid says, hi James, start Kane or Trippier. Harry, mate. Harry, you know what we say about him, mate. Listen, if I was going 5 in midfield and I had Trippier, Tony and Kane up front, that's the one circumstance where I think I'd bench Kane. Never bench Harry Kane, mate. GM says, sorry, Joe's got another one. Morning, James. Worth bringing in Trent for a hit. You've added to it. If I have to bench Trippier or Tony or Raya to De Gea or Roll, that's clarified it a little bit. It's Roll, mate. You've got good single game week players. Don't overlook that, right? Newcastle, Brentford, Leicester, Arsenal, Bournemouth have all got great home fixtures this week with singles. Don't necessarily overlook that. By the way, it was about 17% of you who smashed the like button. Come on, guys. Doesn't cost anything. Free stream. GM Stores. Yes, James, you're going tomorrow, mate. No, I won't even leave the house, mate. They're not even worth going down the pub for at the moment. I will be going to Villa in Game Week 36, though, and probably Leeds in 38. No, I'm not going tomorrow. Sage says, would you take an extra hit to get an Edison for Ryan? No. Craig Wilson. Why do you have KDB so low on captaincy? Game time. Yeah, I think there's every chance he won't play both. It's literally as simple as that. Sham says, hey pal, couple of questions. Is Watkins to Jota worth a -4? No. Would mean benching Trips? No. Or is Rare to Edison worth a -4? Thanks. No. Joel Holmes says, morning James, how we doing? I'm very well, thank you mate, hope you are too. Tiffany FPL Firefly says, on free hit, got the heavy hitters, go Jota and Steele or Isak and Edison, thank you. Jota and Steele, mate. Static says, hey James, hope you and the fam are well. 1 free transfer, so Watkins to Tony on bench boost, could also roll. That's an interesting one. Actually buying Tony at this stage. No, probably not. I'd just leave Tony be. Leave Watkins in, sorry, I think. Ask you, if you go Tony, how does that affect your transfer plans going forward? It takes a transfer away from you and you will want to move Tony on again, possibly as early as next week. If you've got a plan for that, I'd arguably say yes, do it. Otherwise, no. JA says, free hit Darwin or Jota. Me personally, I would probably gamble Nunes, but I think the smarter answer for me to give you right now is probably Jota. Rose Mendes says, James Linden versus Gary Robinson, my Manchester United correspondent in the Correspondence Cup. Woohoo! Open top bus if I win. Alden Bjerk says, morning James, who'd start Trippier or Isak? Ramiz says, good morning. Best Aki replacement, 5 million or under. At this stage, I'm going to say Brighton defender if you don't have, like Dunk or Estupinan. If you've covered for Brighton fully, consider Kanate. And also, just consider going Lindelof and putting the money in the bank, mate. It's basically whatever you haven't got from the other teams. Ramiz says, basically, is a Kanji worth it? I mean, he might be. My answer to that's going to be on a no. Woody88 says, morning James, Steele, Stones and Sancho for Martinez, Henry and Martinelli for a -8. I'm really not keen on the Sancho move, mate. I'd rather have Martinelli this week than Sancho. And Sancho's, I think, is more expensive, isn't he? So the other two, I mean, not even the other two. Honestly, I'd just go Steele to Martinez for free and leave it be, I think. Great fixture for Henry this week. You're absolutely sure Stone starts twice? I mean, he probably does, but worth a hit? I don't think so. Chema Ren says, hey James, hope you're doing well. And then the message ends. Can't answer that, mate. Josh Telling says, good luck with the game week, James. How you feeling ahead of the Liverpool game? I see you put it to narrow loss for your boys. I think 2-1 or 3-1. I said last week I thought we'd get destroyed at Newcastle. I obviously expect Liverpool to win, but no, I think the mentality is probably in a better place this week. I'm sure Liverpool will win, and I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool do win 3-0. I'm not massively shocked, for example, but I don't expect the slapping I expected last week. Lewis Johnson says, I've been through this 100 times, Lewis, but thanks for your question. Please check the benching dilemmas, guys, because the answer to that question is on the screen. Pages 1 to 5 run in order. Gareth James says, morning, James. Already on a -4, but thinking another -4. Henry to Akanji, Stones, Kanante, and bench Isak. Nah. Sham says, sorry to add another. Is there any striker, not Haaland, you swap Watkins for a -4, but would mean bench and trips? No. Shem says... Right, he's saying which player to bench? Isak, Trippier, or Shaw? Trips, mate. Luca Di Gabriel, great name. I'm on free hit. Right, you've gone for... right, thanks for sharing your team. Great. If anyone wants to see Luca's team, they can read the chat, so I'm not reading it out. Sheila says, would you do Zinchenko to Robertson or Trippier? Sorry, Zinchenko to Robertson or Trippier to Trent? If you weren't starting Trippier anyway... then arguably Trent. But the reality is you're going to want Trent with Trippier back for 36. So it's a Zinchenko move, mate. Swizz says, hi, James. I'm on bench boost and can get either Jota or Nunes or Isak and VVD -4. VVD would replace Zuma or Botman. What are your thoughts, mate? Have a good one. VVD -4 over Zuma. No, probably not. He's a threat from set plays. And City do love to concede 1, don't they? I think Jota's probably the logical answer there, mate. Rob H says, how many minutes do you think Alvarez gets in 34? 90. I think there's every chance it will start 1. Which is why, to go back to the previous question, why is De Bruyne so low on the captaincy? Yeah, I think there's every chance Alvarez might play against West Ham. George Brad 97 says, would you play Isak or Trips? Done it 100 times over. Thanks for your question. FPL Gatey, hi James, thanks again for all the fabulous content. Already taking a -4. Kane to Jota worth another hit. If we was absolutely certain that Jota was fit, I'd say yes, but... you know what you're getting from Harry. Harry Kane, you know you're getting 90 minutes against a team that does give up chances. They give up chances, Liverpool. You get 90 minutes from Harry. What are we getting from Jota? What's our actual expectation of minutes this week? We know he's playing in a better team, who's got better fixtures. There's 2 chances of it. Is it worth the 4? If it was me, in all honesty, I'd gamble it and I'd do it. Victor says, how many times? Guys, if anyone's got a Trippier or Isak question, just delete it, please. Hornet says, morning, James. Isak or Martial with a double? I would gamble the doubler. Vass says, Diaz or Stones? Preference at this stage is with Stones, mate. FPL Golo Galazzo, good morning, James. Hope you will have a fantastic week in FPL. Rare to Edison and Mings to Lindelof for a -8. Don't like it, mate. Sorry. Robert Novak says, which one to bench? McAllister, Jota and Isak. Incredibly reluctantly, Isak. Patrick Lawson says, would you triple captain Haaland if you still had the chip? Yes, I would. Ian from Melbourne says, hello, James. Hope you and the family are well. Likewise, Ian, thank you, mate. If Shaw is out of budget, who would be your next choice for United defender B? Top content is always Lindelof. Just get him in, 4.1. Bench him most weeks afterwards. Colin Johnson says, hi, James, great content. Going with 8 doublers plus Raya, Trips and Isak. Boom. Good luck, guys. Gally Bro, Isak or Trippier have done. No, I would not go March for McAllister from -4. I'd leave it. Andrew Jarvis, morning, James. Hope you well. No questions, Dave. Thank you for all you do. Hit the like button, folks. Yes, guys, smash the like button. Dagim Asrat says, hello, James. Martial versus Jota on free hit. I'd still Jota, because I think his one good fixture is probably better than United's 2 harder ones. Rose Mendes says, pin it to Kanji for a -4. That's probably a no, mate. Jamie Baker, Jota or punt on Darwin on bench boost this week and have an Iheanacho problem to solve. I think Jota's the more logical answer to give you. If it were me, honestly, I'd arguably just go Greenwood and look at a different move or something else. I think the right answer to give you is Jota. If it was me, I'm absolutely convinced, personally, Maybe it's just in my mindset and understanding Tottenham. I'm convinced that Núñez plays tomorrow. Now that might be with Jota. I'm convinced he plays tomorrow. And if he does, I think he's the best choice probably. But I couldn't tell anyone to captain Núñez, for example. That's why he's below Jota on the captaincy. He hasn't started for 4 weeks or so. If it were me, I'd punt Núñez. Fuck it. Zubin says, hi James, thoughts on going without Rashford and Fernandes on free hits to accommodate De Bruyne? No. Finley Scanlon says, Aki to Stones -4 to play over trips. That's another no. Zubin says, Jota on free hit. Another no. It's good this, isn't it? Aish Warrior says, hi James, did Chelsea make some nasty decision bringing so many players without having any idea on how would they work out? Do you Tuchel could have improved if he was back? They'd fell out. It's irrelevant. And let's judge where Chelsea are at in the winter. And if they're going to end up selling some players this summer, and if Pochettino takes the job and stuff, let's judge it at Christmas time. It's been quite scattergun, right? But to say that there was no plan, I don't agree with. The profile of all the players they've bought is young. It's just bought too many. Personal Pet Care. What happened to the Trippier returns? Has there been a tactical change or just a drop off in form? Newcastle have been conceding stupid goals like Everton in midweek. Dagim says Bruno versus KDB on free hit. If KDB, which player to sell between Grealish and Diaz? Still prefer Bruno, mate. Honest take. The thing is, he's fucking Iron Man, isn't he? You know he'll play twice. Harbour Boy, no question from me. Just enjoying the deadline stream here in New Zealand before I go to sleep. Thank you, pal. Good luck. B-Max says, morning, James. I'm overthinking it playing Trippier over Shaw despite Shaw's double. Maybe. I'll play the doubler, mate. Alan Morris, Robbo to Trent from -4. No. Patrick Lawson, would you play McAllister or Isak? McAllister. Aishwaya, best 3 Man City assets and 3 Liverpool assets that you would bring in on free hit. Trent, Robertson, Salah, KDB, Grealish, Haaland. Would you prefer 2 Brighton assets or 1 Liverpool and 2 City assets? Would I prefer 2 Brighton assets? Probably just 2 Brighton in that case, maybe, if you're forcing in De Bruyne. Tom Jansen, hi James, great content and always useful insights. Watkins, Salah, -4 or Jota, Bruno. Jota over Núñez over 2 games. Right, hang on. You're not bringing in Watkins now, are you? I wouldn't bring Watkins in at this stage, mate. I'd just slam the money down and start a bench player. I wouldn't bring Watkins in as new at this stage. Excuse me. We're about 12 minutes from deadline, by the way, guys. Get yourselves locked in. There's no reason to leave it late today, guys. Who's next? Tom Jansen. Hi, James. Great content, always useful insights. Watkins, that's what I've done. Yusuf, Salah for Bruno with a -4. Or for Grealish -8 or no Salah. Would I buy a Salah for Bruno Fernandes this week? No, I don't think I would, actually. Menace Savlaki, Planet FPL for life. Bench 1 of Trippier. I need like a sign, don't I? Like a Planet FPL sign. It would just look like I'm doing that naughty sign. Bench 1 of Trippier, Isak, Shaw, McAllister or Estupiñán. Trips. Gareth James says, worth for triple captain on Salah or Haaland this week, or wait till Haaland's double game at 37. Spurs going to be a bit more enthusiastic under Mason. Yes, on the last bit, probably. I would use it now, mate. That City could, if City win their games between now and 37 and Arsenal slip up again, then it's basically over, isn't it? Then do they wrap him in cotton wool a little bit ahead of the FA Cup final and a possible Champions League final? I'd use it now, mate. Nigel Sam says, if I have to move Ings on James, who would I move to under 7 million? Would it be a -4 or play Watkins? As much as I just said I wouldn't buy Watkins now, it's fine to play this week. Of course he is. I don't like looking at him on my bench, to be honest. But if you were buying under 7 million at this stage, it's just Isak, mate. Oyston says, good morning, James. Thoughts on Mahrez as a punt? I'm not keen, mate. Michael Lou, probably should have asked this before I did the transfer, but what do you think about Alvarez for the remainder of the season? Amazing, mate. You've bought him. Benedict Troy. Is Grealish to Rashford worth a -4? Close. I can't envisage Rashford blanking over the 2 games, to be honest. But Grealish's 2 are better. God, that's a really tough one. I'd want to get Rashford in there, mate. Yeah, just about, yes. That's rough, that though. Really rough. Ian Dennis bench Trippier, Estupinan, played a doubler, mate. FPL Yellow Army, hi James. I'm not reading your team out, but I wish you the very best of luck, mate. Jern Henrik, would you start Isak or Kane? Isak, yeah, unbelievable. Free Paterva, hi James. On a free hit, would you go Jota or VVD? Have a good game week. Probably VVD for me. Yeah, boring ass, don't I? Chris, I think there will be a Liverpool clean sheet in there. Christoph Toda says, hi James, thoughts about Mahrez, Foden, Alvarez punt on free hit? Not Kane. Sorry. Birth Media, James, are you good at predictions? Are you tracking it? No, I'm terrible, mate. Have I been tracking it? No. One of our patrons will do that, I'm sure. Peter, FPL.team, nominate you. Go on, go. Birth Media says, that's what we've done. Victor says, hi James, start one of trips Isak. God, mate, how many times do I have to answer this question? I would start Isak. They're both on the bench in dilemmas, and Isak's at the top of it. Frederick Hertz, hello James, bench one of Isak, Trippier, Lindelof, Trippier. Vass says, hi James, thanks for the great content. Who is better at Diaz or Stones for -4? Should just play Botman. Arguably just play Botman rather than the -4. Yeah, I think so. Fancy him for a clean sheet. Enjoy this week and brush off the bench players as it can happen to just about every player. Good luck all. Well said. Adam Hater, hi James, thoughts on Mings to Lindelof -4 on bench boost? Nah. I much rather have Lindelof in there. -4 when I don't fancy him for clean sheets. It doesn't offer much in terms of attacking threat. I mean, it's a great one to buy, by the way. If for free, I'd say yes, absolutely. For the -4, nah, we're talking about a Villa team that's conceded, what, 3 and 10 or something? Just go Mings, mate. Who's a bigger threat from set plays as well. Jonathan Greenwood, morning, James. If I'm planning on getting Isak in for 36 anyway, should I just do it now, in for Watkins for -4, or just play trips? I think that's just play trips. Chris says Isak or Benrahma, mate. I'd honestly play Isak. Yeah. Chad Scott, I'm not reading your wildcard team, mate, but good luck. Hader says, I'm on free hit. Who should I go for between KDB or Grealish? Jota or Nunez? Fuck it. KDB and Nunez, mate. Sam Brennan, no questions today, James. Best of luck, and to you too. J-Log Broski, alright, bro. Something for after deadline maybe to discuss. Just saw the City Leeds game is on the TV next Saturday at 3 p.m. Is this a new thing, as I thought there was a blackout 3 p.m. game? I can answer that very easily. It's King's coronation next week. They're making an exception. There's no Football League games, and there's not even any non-league games at 3 o'clock next Saturday. There is no other football other than Premier League football next Saturday, and that's why there's an exception. Bozo says, smash the like button, everyone. Thank you very much, mate. Shahid says, -8 of Saka and Botman to Joe Linton and Stones. Joe Linton bench this week. I'm not just play Trippier, mate. J-Law says, good luck this game week, by the way. Away the lads, final push for Champions League. It's in the bag, mate. I wish you luck. Well done. FPL Cups says Mahrez or Grealish. Grealish for me. Neil Redding, -4 to move Pinnock to Lindelof to play him instead of Watkins. I've already taken a -4 to get Salah and Trent in. Not for me. God, everyone's taking hits, and I'm not liking many of the ones I'm seeing. Neil Redding says -4 to move. That's what I've done. Craig Muir, Gundogan to Rashford for -4. Stick with Gundo. Yeah, just about, mate. Similar to what I'd said for the previous one with Grealish. GP, do you think De Bruyne starts both? I'm not confident. Let me say that. I'm not confident. Cosmos says, hi James, I'm chasing desperately, thus I have opted for Salah captain and a -8 to fix my team. Thoughts on Havertz to Darwin? Trips will be benched and Darwin will leave in 35 or 36 for Isak. Probably just bench Havertz, mate. Dan, the Fisherman transfer 1 out. Saka versus Maddison. Maddison. Because if you get stuck with Saka, you'll feel better about that, I think. Yes, sir. What to do with Watkins? Please suggest. That's like a start, bench, sell. Snog, marry, avoid. Bench. Pravish says Mbumo or Trippier. Oh, that's interesting, actually. Trips. Kaboz says Saka, Kane, Chilwell to Salah, Solanke or another 6.7 forward. I'd prefer Isak. Does he fall into line with that? I can't remember what price he is now. Trier -4 or Saka, Kane, Salah 8.6 million forward. Now he's put Isak, so I presume you couldn't afford it. In this option, Watkins and Martinelli has to start. I'd start Martinelli over Watkins this week. It's fine. Absolutely fine. B. Christopher says, play De Gea or Steele. on the bench in dilemmas, mate. Yes, sir. What's to do with Watkins? Please suggest. I don't know, but if I see that comment again, I'm going to mute you. Durgish says, this week I have 9 double game week players, 3 hit 37 or 38. 3 Brighton and Newcastle players, 36 already have. Thanks for sharing. Harun says, hi James, should I do a free transfer Martinelli to Grealish, and then which one of Trippier or Isak should I drop for this week in order to play Grealish? Drop Trippier, buy Grealish. Jordan says, hi James, Zuma or Watkins, start 1. Watkins. Close that. Brian04 says, hi James, what do you make of Raya, Henry, McAllister, Watkins to steal Trent, Bruno, Greenwood? I think you're going to shoot yourself if Brentford keep a clean sheet. I think the right answer though is for me to probably say yes, do it. TSAFC says, hey James, what's your thoughts? Saka to Grealish or Mahrez for free, or bring in Bruno -4, thinking for longer term as well this week. Bruno -4 I think. Sabo says, Jota update. No, don't have any, mate, sorry. Christopher, I'll answer questions when I get there, or I won't get there, mate. You're just denying other people. Hamad says, hi mate, is Robinson worth it for -8? I don't know if you meant to put Robinson, but there is an Robertson, but there is an Anthony Robinson who plays for Fulham, so I've got to say no. Brian04 says, hi James, what do you think of Raya? I've done it, mate, come on. Kuto LT, Stones or Akanji? Stones. Philem 2, thanks for the stream, James. Marseille to Grealish or Mahrez for -4. I only have one City player, Grealish. Relic returns, bench boost in Isak, Trippier, Martinelli. Having Sisso in my team, do I swap out to Greenwood and get Steele in for the bench goalkeeper double? But it doesn't make sense. Sure, you get a keeper with an extra game, but you're taking out a player that's going to have minutes. Leave it. Gordon Hamilton, is Jota out? I don't know. I'm not Jurgen Klopp. And Inda Das says, hi mate, sorry I forgot about it earlier. Should I keep Stones on wildcard or third City attacker, keep the spot open for future game weeks? One way of doing it is obviously to keep the spot open. I would probably go Stones if I was wildcarding. Cyrus Bernard, hi James, hope you're well. Alvarez points total this week, 6. Emily says, hey James, if moving Chilwell for a free transfer, who do you like most out of Robertson, Van Dijk, Stones or Diaz? Stones. I mean, I prefer Robertson for this week specifically, but going forward, there's the extra with City. Yusuf says, Felix to Jota or Henry to Robertson, both of them bench Watkins. There's no point keeping Felix, mate. Luke Fuller, hi James, in order to get Salah, would you sell Bruno or Grealish? Grealish. Francis Logan played De Gea or Steele. Bozo says, your little one sounds like a bundle of fun. I can't even hear him. His giggle is so sweet. How old does he make? Kids are the biggest blessing in life. He certainly is, mate. He's 4.5. We're about 2 minutes to deadline, by the way, guys. Just going to check just in case there's any info on anything going round, but really not expecting anything. Patrons, drop me a tag if there's anything that's worthwhile, but I mean, absolutely not expecting anything of use ahead of this deadline. Get yourselves locked in, guys, is the most important thing that I can say to you. Francis, we've done. Bozo's done. Hamid says, hi, James. You've already asked that, mate. Jesus. Tim Kresna, hello, mate. Would you start Andreas over Shaw, Trips or Tony? No. Suresh says, morning James, I'm planning for a -4. Watkins, Reyes, Zinchenko out for Edison, VVD and Alvarez, worth the punt. I absolutely hate that. Listen, it could pay big, but I really don't like that at all. Adam Zorzi says, morning James, play Trippier over Stupinan. Nope. GP on free hit this week. I hate it. Too hard predicting doublers that will start twice. Didn't do it in a blank game week, mate. You'll find your life easier. I'm going Isak and Tony. I think feels daft, but I don't mind that at all. Hart says they're both all. I've already said they could be the 2 best forwards in this game week. I would not be surprised if they are. Emily says, hey James, which Man City would you move? Chilwell for free, Stones, Diaz, catch Stones. BJP says, top chat as ever, thanks. Already got Mac and Mitoma. Would you take -4 to swap Martinelli for March? No, I wouldn't be keen on having all 3 Brighton in there, mate. You're blocking others for future weeks. Matthew Hall says, anyone with bringing in from -4 for Watkins or Henry? I mean, it depends, right? Like I brought in Trent, but I also brought in another doubler as well. Other than Trent, probably it's a no. Nako Spar says Bruno for Rashford from -4. Shobit says Shaw or Dallo on free hit. sure. Cabos says, Martin needs Bruno worth a hit. Probably yes. Wavy. Milk, blue, green or red? Green. Harron says, Mohammed, hi James. Should I do a free transfer Martinez to Grealish and then wish a Trippier or Isak? I've done Trippier and Isak a million times on this stream. It feels like they're both on the bench in dilemmas. Yes, by Grealish. Couple of seconds to deadline, guys. Ahmed says Grealish out to Bruno and Kepa out for Ederson. I mean, there's every reason to bring Kepa, but who's your other goalkeeper? I think it's quite relevant on that. I believe deadline's hit. And for anybody who didn't hear, I'd play Isak over Trippier this week. Sorry to those I didn't get to. My life would be a lot easier if people didn't just repeat questions. For those who've asked repeat questions, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go back and delete your questions, because I'm going to go back through the chat, and where people have asked delete questions, just going to mute you, and you won't get your question answered next week because I won't see your questions. If anyone's got any non-FPL questions they want to throw in the chat, happy to hang around for 15 minutes or so. If you came just for the FPL, smash a like, hit the sub button. And the game review, I should tell you, will be on Tuesday this week. There will be a podcast for you on Monday. FPL Blades, Ben Tomo Thompson is going to be joining me for a discussion on Sheffield United following their promotion back to the Premier League. But we're going to do game review Tuesday, and then we're going to what's that, James? A smaller game review of the games Tuesday to Thursday on Friday. But we do think that's relevant because we've got Arsenal. And essentially all the teams doubling in 37 play during that period as well. So we will do that Friday for you as well. Wednesday will be Sky. Thursday's clash of correspondence this week is Wolves versus Aston Villa with Bradley Parker and Lee Jackson. On Patreon, as it stands, I'm not intending to do a podcast this Monday, guys. I'm going to take the day off. It's a bank holiday here. Tuesday, therefore, will be the Q&A, guys. Wednesday will be Tottenham. Thursday will be a quiz. Friday will be the Differential show, Gameweek 35 preview. If you want to support the show, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Talking Tactics this week for advanced tier patrons is highly likely to feature a detailed look back on what Manchester City did tactically against Arsenal, how Arsenal tried to counteract it, and how Arsenal couldn't stop it, basically. Subject to what I see over this weekend. But I imagine that's probably still what I'm going to do. Right, that's it. If you just came for the FPL stuff, smash a like, guys. Otherwise, let's go into some non-FPL stuff. Relic Returns says, hit the like, you freeloader. Atul Balaji says, what do you think is the most stupid job that is related to football? Don't hold back. VAR. Being a video assistant referee, you've got one job. Is to watch the television and see what we all see a lot of the time. So there you go, mate. Excuse me. Sean says, thoughts on the FA Cup final debacle with the trains, James. Ridiculous situation, but not sure what the clubs can do. Should move it back to Cardiff, in my opinion, with trains running there. The thing is, though, can you guarantee that the trains will run to Cardiff? I'm not sure you can, so I don't think that's the solution. If you move the final to a different date, I think just move the strike, to be honest. They want to cause maximum impact. It's really unfortunate for both sets of fans. It's motorways, isn't it? Which is going to be shit. But I think, unfortunately, it's what it is. As much as we criticise games being at Wembley, obviously the semi-final should not be there. Absolutely, the FA Cup final should be. It's crap. It really is crap. I've done a couple of journeys where there's been no trains and stuff over the last couple of years. It is shit. It really is. And this one particularly with 90,000 heading to the roads and stuff. What I'd say is it's not beyond reason that they work something out. For example, there was one we had earlier in the season where there was a strike. I think it was maybe when I was going to Forest, there was a strike and they cancelled it. It could still get cancelled. Yeah, it's shit. I'd be making plans. Minibus would be the preference if you've got a group of mates. Yeah, it's terrible for the fans. It is what it is, unfortunately. Andrew Jarvis says, now that the deadline has passed, what are your plans for the bank holiday weekend and who are your top 5 Sky player picks for the rest of the season? Good luck for this game week. Today I'm spending the day with my wife and my son. My son would like to spend the day with me. My wife probably doesn't. Not even sure if I'll bother watching Palace West Ham. I'll have a see what our plans are for the day. Monday, I intend to take the day off. Tonight, I'm recording with Tomo for the podcast on Monday. Tomorrow, we'll watch the football. We'll watch Fulham City, and I'll obviously watch Tottenham. So, football day tomorrow. So, I'm not bothered about missing. There's no 5:30 game today as well. So, you'll watch West Ham. So, I'm not bothered if I miss it. I'm going to say, oh, Palace West Ham assets for next week. Woo! It doesn't really matter, does it? So yeah, fam, maybe might see my parents maybe Monday or something. Hobbs89 says, did you remember the gaffer deadline last night and will you be joining the Pookie party for potentially the final time next week? I've not given any thought to last week. Yes, I did remember the deadline. I bought Ollie McBurney in actually for Sheffield United's double. I had a great week last week. Gameweek rank as 6th, I think. I used the triple on the 3 Burnley guys, which included double defensive, which obviously paid off for that 1-0 at Blackburn in midweek. Pookie party next week. I don't even know what they've got. I'd have to have a look, mate. Don't bother telling me. But maybe, yeah, I'd say. Sounds like a fun one, maybe. FPL Galats, AC Milan or Inter, which team makes the UCL final? It's a coin flip, isn't it? Inter of slight favourites with the bookies, very narrowly. We did a quiz on the 2 clubs, actually, on Patreon this week with Clayton Fernandez, if that interests people on Patreon. My instinct is with the Leao, Milan just have that little bit more X factor, is my instinct. But I really think it's a coin flip. Jim says, hi James, do you know why the fixtures are staggered through the week this week? Yeah. So Arsenal-Chelsea is meant to be 5:30 today, and the Met Police decided to throw up a problem, which I think was a lot of their officers saying we don't want to work 2 Saturdays in a row. Because obviously they're all working next Saturday for the coronation, right? So the game got moved to Tuesday night. That's what I think happened. Well, the Met Police is why the game's moved. The game Arsenal-Chelsea was meant to be 5:30 today. So that's why you've got that game's been moved to Tuesday night, which is also kind of convenient for Sky, because when originally they fucked up their picks for TV originally, they left themselves in a position where there wasn't a single game they could put on Tuesday night. But I would say I think Sky would probably have preferred to have Arsenal-Chelsea at 5:30 today rather than Tuesday night. So I don't think it's benefited them. Jim says, that's what I've done. FPL Golgalat. So do you rate Rafael Leao? Yes, I do. Yeah, it's super talent, mate. I think he's got the potential to be one of the best attacking players on the planet. John O'Bono says, hi mate, which 3 teams do you think will go down? I'm an Everton fan. I think we'll finish bottom. Forest are going to need to get something in these 3 away games. Brentford, Chelsea, Palace. But they're all games that could get something in. The Southampton game for them is absolutely huge next week. They have to win it. I still think they'll probably go. Can I be honest with you? I think Leeds are going to go now at this stage. Leeds have got to get something tomorrow, really. Bournemouth away, then City, then Newcastle, then a trip to West Ham and Tottenham last day. Fucking hell. I know Everton's fixtures are pretty grim as well. Brighton and Man City in the next 2. That's what I said. Gives Forest an opportunity, right? With Southampton at home next week to even put themselves 3 points clear or so. They'd have to beat Southampton and they want to get something today. Leicester are not out of it. I think they'll probably be alright because they've got enough good attacking players who can contribute. Southampton will go. I still have an inkling that Everton are going to get out of it. I just have an inkling. So I'm going to say Forest and Leeds. I've been so unimpressed with Leeds, what I've seen these last 3 games. I've watched all of them. Asil says, hello James, who would you prefer as Spurs manager, Nagelsmann or Company? I wouldn't complain at either. Preference would be for Nagelsmann. I wouldn't lie about that. Why would I lie about it? There's literally no point. Addy Tor says, hi James, did you watch the Levy interview at Cambridge University and what did you think of it? No, I've still not watched it, mate. But I'm pretty aware of most of the things that he said. But I'll get to it. I don't have time for a lot of spare shit. Addy Tor says, yes. Bozos says, cheers, mate. Awesome content is always much appreciated. Regarding your Spurs, now Poch is probably not going there. Who would you like as manager and what do you think of Daniel Farke? Daniel Farke will not be in the running. yeah, Nagelsmann would be first choice at this stage. Rhino says, is your... I mean, well, it's not. De Zerbi is, but it's not going to be De Zerbi. Rhino says, is your potential trip to Leeds based on Spurs' chances of getting to Europe, or is it about logistics time? It's about how I feel when the tickets go on sale. Honestly. And also trying to work out maybe if there's a chance that it's on the telly. So if the title race gets dead and Leeds are potentially scrapping to stay up on the final day, there's every chance Leeds Tottenham will be on the TV, and that'll save me a journey. But the chances are that I probably will be going to Leeds final day, yeah. Motta says, hi James, is Frank Lampard greatest managerial achievement just being English? He would be laughed out of the country by the media if he was any other nationality. No, his greatest achievement was stabilising a Chelsea team who were under a transfer embargo and introducing young players to it and finishing fourth in the league. That was his best achievement. Rose says, can you name 7 German players currently playing in the Premier League? Oh my giddy. Fuck. German, Kehrer. Tito Kehrer is at West Ham, isn't he? Please tell me Tottenham don't have a German. Do we have a German? I don't think we have a German. Bella Kotchop, Southampton. Sorry, I'm just trying to rack through teams here. Forest got a German? Probably not. God, I'm struggling. Gundogan, obviously. German players in the Prem. Voba, is he German or is he Austrian at Leeds? Surely Leeds have a German. Surely. Do Leeds have a German? I don't know if they do. Is Max Meyer still registered at Crystal Palace? Chelsea got a German. Havertz, obviously. Done a few there, haven't I? Sade German at Brentford, is he? I think I want to say he might be. Jorginho Ruta, is he German or is he Brazilian? Well, I don't think he's Brazilian actually. I think he might be Brazilian, Jorginho Ruta, but maybe he qualifies for Germany. I think that's it, isn't it? I think. It's probably someone really obvious I've missed. There you go. Let us know the answers, Rose. Put me out my misery. Asil said, will Man City regress if Pep left? I mean, probably. I mean, that's going to be one hell of a hard job to take over from that. Mish says, hi James, great show and channel. Looking for some headphones. What brand you wearing? Would you recommend? My boss are fucked, so these are just some spares I had. I don't even know what it is. I'm not even joking, but boss stuff's normally quite good. Rob Pick says, sorry mate, tried to find my Isak question to leap but couldn't find it in the chat. Had any initial thoughts on your Champions League fantasy plans other than Liao? I'm not sure where to prioritise. I'm not giving it a thought, mate, to be honest. I'm not giving it a thought at all. Ian says, hi mate, if you only had Arsenal, Brighton, Liverpool, City, United and Tottenham players in Sky, would you shoehorn a player in for Leicester and Everton on Monday? Probably not, mate. It depends what you got left, right? So if I had 10 left, or even sort of at this stage, maybe even 8, arguably, yeah, I'd punt something. If there was something I think, I could carry this through. But as said, primarily with Leicester, even though they've got all these Mondays left, they're never the best choice. I think the one to really, really punt would have been Iheanacho, wouldn't it? That's gone. So that's not so appealing. I think the play would have been Ian if people had gone through the Leicester game Tuesday night without something, would have been by like Pickford for something for like Thursday. I'd realised that wouldn't have worked. Wouldn't have gone so well, but something like Pickford for the Newcastle game and then Monday night captaincy and then move it on to something else. But unless there's luxury of transfers left, nah, wouldn't bother. Faris says, hi James, would you grab a spider with your hands for an additional triple captainship? How big's the spider? Yeah, sod it, yeah, why not? As long as the spider ain't going to kill me. Yeah, because love to triple captain Haaland this week. Jonathan says, afternoon James, has Man City turned the Premier League into a farmers league? And can you see any other winners next 3 to 4 years? Listen, back in January, Man City were on the floor. They were on the floor. They were in a bad place. Lost to Tottenham. That's only February, and they looked absolutely wank. And Guardiola spoke about the need to revitalise the squad. He's found a way of doing it and getting them up for it again. So no, listen, for long periods this year, it looked to me like City wouldn't win it. Does that make it a Farmers League? In fact, Arsenal come through so strong. Liverpool finishing second on like 97 points and 90 plus. No. The bottom of the league is getting stronger, which is making it harder for teams to be consistent to catch the likes of Man City. But no. Farmers League is when you absolutely knows that no one can be competitive with the likes of Paris Saint-Germain. Excuse me. So no, mate. I lost a load of questions there. Sorry. Jonathan, that's what we've done. Gary Robinson, Gross, Gundo, Leno, and 4 others. Rose. Leno, yeah, good. Pascal Gross, of course. Good luck in the cup, James. Think we only have 5 players the same. Oh, interesting. Patrick Lawson, what's your favourite soap? Tomato. I love my dad. My dad when he goes to places, he's like, oh, what's your soup of the day? And he never has it. Tommy Moody. All right, James, do you think with a win today for Brentford today can still sneak 7th? Nah. Fixture's too tough, mate. What's left? Still got to go to Anfield, still got to go to White Hart Lane, finish with City at home. No. Ian from Melbourne, what's your cooking like? And is there a meal that Harry or wifey enjoys most of yours? Shit and no. Tommy Moody, favourite pre-match breakfast? I'm a sausage man. As long as it's got sausage, I'm happy. Swizz says, have you seen much of Jack Clark of Dennis Serkin? Do you think Spurs will activate Dennis' buyback clause? As a Sunderland fan, these two can go right to the very top, in my opinion. I actually saw quite a bit of the game at West Brom last Sunday. I know obviously Serkin scored twice. And he is one, you look at it now and think we haven't got a left back. Surely we should have kept hold of him. I must say, I didn't know there was a buyback clause. Jack Clark, was never convinced about, I must be honest. And I know Sunderland fans think it's been great, and I've not questioned it because I haven't seen enough of them. But I was not impressed with Jack Clark at all when I saw him for Tottenham. Elron Cupboard says up the workers. Yeah, I can't argue that. Andrew Sands says, hi James, why does the new inverted defensive midfield position seem to come from the right side of the defence? Well, it doesn't for Arsenal, does it? It comes from Zinchenko. City did it very occasionally with Lewis. When City lost at Tottenham, Rico Lewis did it from left back. So I think it's down to team makeup and stuff and who's doing the job, essentially. Think about it like this. There's probably more right-footed players capable of doing it, in all seriousness. Because left-siders are specialists, right? The left-backs, left-sided centre-backs, or they're wingers, one side or the other quite often, right? So to be a specialist inverted left-footer, like a Zinchenko, there's not many of them knocking about, is there? So that'll be why there's probably a little bit of imbalance towards the right. Robertson couldn't do the job for Liverpool, could he? Let's be honest. Okay, say he couldn't, it's probably different. Let's say he wouldn't be comfortable. So there's more right-footed players around, makes it more natural, I think. FPL Golo, remember as well, we talk about players on the wrong foot. If you're coming from right back inside, you are still facing the play all the time. You're moving towards the play. I think right footers can do it from left back as well, to be fair. FPL Golo Galazzo, 2-pack or Biggie? No preference. Wu-Tang or NWA? No preference. Not my sort of jazz. FPL Gatey, any chance my team Torquay beat champions Wrexham and overturn a 7-goal difference to beat relegation to regional football? Life supporting your local team isn't fun at times. Sorry, mate, probably not, but wish you well. Kartik says, hi James, lovely stream as always. How much time do you take to prepare all the data on the screen for these streams? Probably more than an hour. Because I'll think about I try and preempt questions that may get asked, like Isak versus Trippier. We should put them both on page 1 just for the sake of it now. So yeah, try and think about logistical things that people ask, which potentially affects the benching headaches. And I try and think about games with the predictions with a little bit of logic and stuff as well. So maybe an hour. Not like it's normally a job I normally do late on a Thursday night, to be honest, because a lot of what I use is part of the thinking for our differential show on Patreon on a Friday as well. Atul says worst manager in the league right now. I'm gonna kick a man who is down, but I think we know the answer to that, don't we? It's Lamps at this minute, isn't it? Dennis Sundev is a good shout from Zam Vines. I see lots of you putting German players. David Oliver, Robin Koch at Leeds, of course. John Kay was saying his root are Dutch. I think that's Brazilian. FPL Gate, he says, any chance my team, Torquay United, beat champions? I've already done that, mate. Noble Nepali says, do you think Jota start both? I don't really care, mate. Deadline's gone, but I wish you luck. The Hobbs89 says, trivia question, who is the only player to play for England, England B, England C and England under 21s? Fuck me. Maybe someone who come through non-league. Maybe someone like a Les Ferdinand or something. Ian Wright, maybe. Oh, Ian Wright wouldn't have played for England under 21s. No chance. Les Ferdinand might have. Someone like that. Adi Tor, Loris Karius. Yeah, that's a good shout. Balvinda says Kylie or Danny. I don't think I'd say no to either, mate. Kylie. James Brennan says, hi James, where do you see Maguire at next? Probably Tottenham. What do you think his level is? I think Ten Hag has clearly had enough. Thanks and enjoy the bank holiday weekend. You too, mate. Back at Leicester. Sure, why not? There's still a good footballer in there who's just suffered massively confidence. Jonathan saying Stuart Pearce is a shout for that non-league one. Patrick Lawson, Vitaly Janel. I think he's German. Questioning that, but sounds good to me, Patrick. Yeah. So there's plenty more than 7 anyway. I was reading the question as there's only 7. No probs, Gatey. You're fine, mate. Relic returns 3 signings that would improve Spurs in the summer. Bonus question: how much would it take to get Lavia out of Southampton? Probably 50 mil. I think he'd be worth it. Ideal partner for Rodrigo Bentancur, in my opinion. Exactly the sort of profile I'd be looking for a player. And it's forward thinking. It's not short term, right? And it's also if he turns out to be magnificent, as we think he may do, and Tottenham don't improve, he's selling for 100 million, right? This is what Tottenham need to think clever with their business. And if you don't end up selling him because he's been really good, and even if he wasn't great, do you get a resale value on him? Yeah, sure. Maybe not to that extent, but could you move him on and get half your money back, for example, if he turns out to be not what people are expecting? Exactly the sort of player Tottenham should be going all out for, in my opinion. Let me give you some realistic players that I think Tottenham could target. Right? So, no one from Arsenal. Villa, a reasonable target. I'd be interested to test the waters again on Douglas Luiz. There's no reason why I'd leave Villa for Tottenham at the moment. But Douglas Luiz, I think, has been very, very good the last few months. Oh, it was great against Newcastle and didn't get a lot of attention. Bournemouth, I'd be interested in Solanke as a backup forward. Harsh, sorry. Brentford, Raya and Henry would improve the team. No doubt about it. Brighton, I don't even need to cover nearly the whole team. Chelsea, I think I've mentioned Colwill, where he's the sort of one where Chelsea would never previously do business with Tottenham when Abramovich was there, but they might now, and if Tottenham's the highest bidder who gives them the full 100% money on a homegrown talent, they may sell. Palace, Eze, really, I think Elise profile-wise as well would be good for Tottenham. Everton, it's not a lot there that I'd particularly want, to be honest. I suppose Pickford is the answer. Fulham, João Paulinho. Leeds, Tyler Adams. Leicester, Maddison. Liverpool is probably not anything realistic unless you were to get a backup, so I'll leave them out. Similar with City, similar with United, similar with Newcastle. Forest, Gibbs White comes across as a bit of a dick, doesn't he? Seems to be the reports. He likes to wind people up by the sounds of it. Forest, It's not a lot there. Maybe Serge Aurier, I need a right back. Saints, Lavia has said. West Ham, Declan Rice. I'm kidding, we got no chance. And Neves at Wolves. And you'll probably notice a theme there. There's a lot of midfield players that I mentioned. Atul says, I know the question was about German players, but Klopp is also German, which I just realised. Don't tell me it just came to you, Atul. James Brennan, Watkins if Kane leaves. I see no reason in all seriousness why a Villa player would go to Tottenham right now. Literally none. No reason. Podner says, how much will Manchester United sell for? About 6 billion, mate. End of stream. Let's leave it there, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks always for the support. I said fan view on Monday with Ben Tomo Thompson discussing Sheffield United following their promotion back to the Premier League. Wavy, I have no issue with James Ward-Prowse, but I'd much rather pay for Romeo Lavia without any doubt. I think JWP is a good player, but I think his best might also have passed, to be totally honest with you. I don't think he's had an amazing season for Southampton. Game week review will be Tuesday. Deadline stream next week, just a heads up. It's 12:30 PM UK time. It is a 1:30 UK time deadline. For those overseas, a little bit more bedtime perhaps. As a note, there'll be no Q&A after that because Tottenham are home at 3 o'clock. So it will be deadline hits. I'll be at the house. But the plan is still to do a 1 hour deadline stream at 12:30 next Saturday. Have a great week, guys. If it's a bad day today or a bad day tomorrow, remember, this is 5 days long or so, right? Hope your arrows will be green. Good luck. Be nice to each other as always. Ciao, everyone.